Fit for Life Radio, episode number 160. Gary and Will here.
Holla.
Heading fast into the new year.
2023. It feels like it's still 2020.
Steaming ahead. So today we are going to talk about fitness trends for 2023. So good little article on what the top 3 fitness trends to watch next year.
Where is the industry going?
And we're excited because stuff we've been preaching for almost a decade,
Gaining steam, baby.
It's gaining steam. These fitness trend lists are getting better.
I will say, to toot our horn, we've been kind of at the front, I feel, of a lot of things in the way that we do stuff.
And it's interesting because initially, when we went through COVID, it was scary, right? Because you're like, is this going to shift and change everything?
Is everyone going to start working out at home?
And really all it did was shed light on, which we'll get into some of the stuff, probably what people were missing and what they can't get at home. And yeah, so we'll dive in. So number 1.
Let's talk about it.
Fitness trend to watch 2023. Muscle and mortality research will change the way we exercise. Now,
what does that mean?
Probably won't change the way we exercise.
But it might change the way a lot of other people exercise.
And essentially, as things advance, technology and what we learn, there's more importance in knowledge and to be learning about our muscles and their importance. And the fact, it's funny because in hindsight, it's like you don't really need science and research and technology to tell you this, but because our muscle moves our bones, right?
Yeah.
And if our muscles don't do that very well, we start to have problems. But more specifically, too, I know one thing that's becoming obvious or they're learning is, we have different fiber types, muscle fiber types. And there's like slow twitch fibers, which kind of get worked doing daily movement.
Like
walking and moving around. And those kind of get maxed out with that. But then you have these high threshold muscle fibers that only really are stimulated kind of from significant things like resistance training.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's the muscle fibers that we really lose as we age because we're not using them. Mm-hmm. And then that's what gives us power and again makes us
the ability to do difficult things.
More difficult things. And that's when then you get to an age where you can barely get up off the ground.
Yeah.
And that's a problem. Then that leads to other problems or you fall, so.
And then that too, when you're not, using those muscle fibers, you're also not helping your bones either. Part of your bone density increasing when you strength train, because I know it's a big thing, is the muscle actually pulling on the bone because it attaches to the bone, and that makes your bone or your body say, all right, well, we need to beef this up because it's getting the stimulus, so we have to make this stronger. And if you're not getting that, then you have, osteopenia, osteoporosis, and, these brittle bone diseases.
Yep. And look, muscles and bones, it's boring stuff. There's nothing you do, doing your strength training. It's not like you get this instant gratification from helping your muscles and bones, right?
Yeah, there's no extreme feel-good rush after you made your bones a little bit stronger.
So most people chase let me go, hop around for an hour and sweat and
get some endorphins and whatever it may be.
But that isn't the stuff that helps us with our muscles and bones, right? And then ultimately, like this article says, that hopefully we'll start treating our muscles like the organs of longevity that they truly are, which is like what we just described. And you need to have to prioritize resistance training
of some kind.
And here's the thing, running around in a circuit just using lightweight far from your maxes, 50% or less of your max and then getting gas and winded and getting weaker every time through, that's not resistance training.
No, that's not helping you move forward with that.
That's cardio.
Yeah.
Just because you're doing strength exercises doesn't mean you're doing resistance training.
No.
It needs to be challenging yourself. You're stopping, you're resting. It's the, what a lot of people avoid and think, oh, well, I don't want to be a bodybuilder, so I don't want to look like Arnold Schwarzenegger, so I'm not going to touch that stuff. Yeah. But the reality is no, it quite possibly could unlock our kind of fountain of youth.
Yeah. And then just an aside, because this happens a lot. A lot of people don't do leg work because they run.
Yeah. But again, you're working those slow twitch muscle fibers, not the high threshold
Like you still need to do some resistance training on your legs to build the fast twitch fibers up. So just, I couldn't let it go. I'm sorry.
And to double down on this trend that they're seeing here, my buddy, like when I say buddy, normally you say buddy just because you've had like one conversation with someone.
An interaction, and you don't want to be like, this guy I know.
Yeah, one of my true best friends for life that I grew up with.
One of your longtime friends.
He works Forrest Corey.
We had him on here, didn't we?
Oh, yeah, way back.
I don't remember what episode it was, but he was on here.
Yeah, he works for Life Fitness. And so if you know Life Fitness, it's like a exercise brand.
They outfit like a ton of Globo gyms.
They do Life Fitness and Hammer Strength.
Yeah, those are the two biggies.
Under their umbrella. And, they do like strength equipment and cardio equipment. And basically, you'll see it at any gym. Just go to the gym and look at the label. And they're known as, now there's other brands, they're kind of like the premier one. They focus a little more on higher quality. They are higher priced. There's obviously like more entry level stuff, but you'll see them at most good gyms. And ultimately he was telling me how we were chatting, and there's some company that has this like little laser system or something, and they basically can set it up to where all the machines in your gym, so it's kind of for like those big gyms to get an idea, almost like they're an amusement park, and they can see how many people are riding the rides.
Because they're usually sectioned off, too, to like the cardio equipment's over here, and the strength stuff's over here.
But this even breaks it down to each individual piece.
Ooh, that's spicy. Yeah, I thought it was a section.
No.
Piece.
No, it's every single unit, every single piece.
Okay, all right, that's even cooler.
And then, they come and set it up, and then, your gym operates for whatever, I don't know, week or month, and it gets data on how, your attendance and usage of all these individual pieces, and then they say, hey, this is how you should rework things to maximize what people want, what we're seeing. And then his part of his job is he looks through all these reports and goes through all this, all these different gyms. And he said across the board, not even just like averages, like literally like every report is coming back from all these places, and essentially all of them are almost recommended that they need a quarter to a half less cardio and then more benches, racks, and like cables stuff.
Yeah. So like resistance training.
Meaning, majority of the traffic is people using resistance stuff and wanting resistance stuff, and they need more of it. And one takeaway he had too is that during COVID, what happened was a lot of people, you couldn't go to gyms, right? And maybe you just went walking or went running outside, or people, would get cardio equipment at their house.
Like a Peloton,
a bike, a treadmill, things like that. But then when things open back up, or people go a year with just that as an option, what was it that people wanted, needed, or weren't able to do at home? And it was resistance training.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people felt that effect of like, man, I really miss this and I need this.
Yeah. So as a gym, it's like, well, we want to provide something that people need. And people are seeing and learning, like this article, more and more the value of the strength and resistance training. And that's the hardest thing to provide. Like most people, unless you have a lot of space and a lot of money to invest up front at home, you're not going to have.
Yeah, you're not going to have a full setup.
The ability to have a lot of options with that. So that's where gyms really can be helpful. And it's cool to see because I've been in the industry so long with gyms, and it was always about cardio. Like the gym I used to work at, Gold's Gym, or it was Gold's Gym, then it's One Life Fitness. I mean, every year there's a facility improvement fee, and then they would get new stuff or replace stuff.
And dude, they had the cardio theater?
Dude, always cardio stuff. Every year, it's literally cardio stuff. And I've been there from the early, so back 18 years ago, and they would have the cardio theater, right? They even have, meaning there's a movie theater in the gym with cardio equipment
to get people to do it.
Not even to get people to do it, it's because that's what people wanted, and they were like, ooh, we can get people to join the gym because they'll think I get to come watch movies.
Yeah.
Every year would be replacing cardio equipment, adding some kind of new finagle things. And you know what they actually realized? So with this, you know how there'll be all the kind of different kinds of ellipticals or different kind of cardio machines?
Yeah.
Those almost get no usage. Like when people do cardio, it's just like treadmill, bike, regular elliptical.
Yeah.
So these gyms are investing all this money in this like
Stuff people don't
weird
want.
fancy stuff, and like no one even uses it.
Mhm.
And so anyways, yeah, decades now. Never once. And I remember, because I'll still go there from time to time, and they still have the same weights, and they're all like ratted up, ripped apart, like actual plates, you know, weight plates
Mhm.
from 18 years ago. And then I noticed this year they got new weight plates. And then at the other location they took out about a quarter of the cardio equipment,
Mm-hmm.
put
And added new
put
cable
turf
stuff.
down, and tripled their cable stations. So like,
Which is great.
yeah, seeing that, and then across the board, that's the trend. That's where things are trending, right? And yeah, it's good to see. Now, hopefully, it's just not like a 6-month trend, and
Yeah.
people then get bored. But you know, I think people, as a population, you think about it, like gyms and fitness, as we know it, really only came about really the 90s, I guess. You know, the 80s was a lot of like jazzercise and cardio,
Yeah.
like dance type stuff, and then you
Yeah,
know,
I
obviously
guess
underground, very niche. There was bodybuilding,
Yeah, but that was few and far between.
and then the 90s, there still wasn't a ton of gyms,
No, but
right?
it started getting a lot more popular.
But yeah, basically in the 90s, and then the 2000s, you could say generationally then where, because then in the 90s, I still think it was people were like, well, yeah, I want to be a bodybuilder, or I want to be and you would go do this, but that's still like small. Really in the 2000s where people are like,
That's
oh,
when it blew up.
I need to go like to this gym thing, even though I've never been athletic and never cared about this stuff, but I should probably do it for my health, right?
Yeah.
So you started seeing people go and then kind of do based off of what they were recommendations and stuff, right? So you think about it, 2000s, 2010s, and now 2020s.
And then the trends have changed too. Like it used to be like, you know, men lift weights and women do cardio, you know, which there's been such a rise in women's strength training, which is the greatest thing ever because we all need it. But it's just so good to see that like increasing as the years go on and like everybody getting into it.
And then what we've been preaching now, and yeah, cool, people are going to gyms. It's pretty normal. Almost everyone that's lucky enough to have the opportunity, like, has been a member of at some time, like a gym, a fitness facility.
Yeah.
So like that's normal now. And now it's like, hey, you should lift weights.
Yeah.
For your health, for longevity,
Yeah.
for your health, not because you're trying to get sexified when you're 22 to attract a mate.
So like you don't fall when you're 85.
Yeah, literally, it's like, oh, wait a second. There's a lot of reasons we should be doing this, and it's the opposite of what we thought.
Yeah, like, oh, you only do that to look good. Well,
You know?
no, like,
'Cause
this is essential to being healthy for your whole life.
Yeah, because you have a whole generation, really, like, and specifically, like you said, of women. I'll say if you're currently 40 and up,
Yeah.
you're kind of like it can be seen as like, I don't want
to be bulky.
Yeah. You know, now you're even maybe the people in their 30s, but you specifically see now, which is one of the good things, I guess, about all this new information, but like women in their 20s now and teens,
They're starting early.
they're starting with working out right away.
Yeah.
They're excited. They're like, I'm doing this, and there's no trepidation. Like,
Yeah.
it's just a whole different mindset. So then they're going to, hopefully a lot of them stick with it, and then you're going to see 30, 40, 50 years from now, the difference of what it can do.
Yeah, the quality when you are older is
Yeah.
going to be a lot different.
And yeah, hopefully it sticks, right? So, and it will, because it works.
Yeah,
it's true.
There's no
Like-
bones about it that it works.
So that is trend number 1 and what we think. Muscle immortality research will change the way we exercise, which essentially means we'll start treating our muscles like the organs of longevity that they truly are, meaning we give them the attention and prioritize them, aka challenge them, aka resistance training, strength training. Everyone should be doing it.
Boom.
Especially, you should not stop as you age. You should not stop because you have a mate and you don't care about your muscles and how they look.
Yeah, like
But
do
be-
it so you're able to do things for the rest of your life.
Exactly. Maintain your form, function.
Yeah.
and mental confidence, right? Of like doing physical things. Then number 2.
It's a good one.
Of the top 3 fitness trends to watch in 2023. Inactivity will become a vital health metric. And essentially what they're proposing is we will care less about hitting 10,000 steps than we do about minimizing time sitting still, right? So you have to get over magic numbers and realize the whole point is we're trying to encourage and prioritize regular movement.
Yep. Just movement through your day.
And that's really what step goals do.
Yeah.
Hopefully they encourage you to get up more, and move. And that regular movement, again, we just hyped up resistance training, but ultimately 2-3 days a week of 30 minutes to an hour of strength training is still, which has immense benefits.
You can still be sedentary while doing that.
It's still only a couple hours of the week.
Yeah.
So what is your movement like? And the reality is, what's the really only true, people say like functional training and like, functional exercises.
The most functional thing is just walking around.
The most functional exercise is walking.
Yeah.
So you should do it.
And as often as you can. It doesn't mean you have to go for a 5-mile walk. It could just be, walking a little bit every hour, or just making sure you build in some movement through your day.
And we see this. People, again, all or nothing mindset. Oh, I can't hit 10,000 steps. I feel like a bum. I quit, and you end up doing nothing.
Then you just sit on the couch all day.
You hit 1,000 steps. And the reality is like, who cares?
Well, 5,000 would have been better than 1,000.
Yeah. Oh, you didn't hit 10,000? Oh, well.
That's fine. You're still moving.
Yeah. You were trying. You had purposeful movement. You ended up with more. That's the goal.
Yeah. That's it, And I do think that, the 10,000 steps thing, like, was a move in the right direction. Like, it was very positive, I think. But just, it was such a specific thing, and that made people feel like, I got to go for this long walk.
And if your lifestyle...
If you know me, you know I'm always on the run, up early and home late. So having a 3-hour morning routine isn't really in the cards for me. What is in the cards is AG1. It's a fast way to get vitamins and minerals I need to perform. I first gave AG1 a try because I wanted a single solution that helps support my entire body by filling in nutrient gaps and simplifying my morning routine. Since drinking AG1 daily, I've always felt strong and energized and ready to attack the day. Not only does AG1 deliver my daily dose of vitamins, minerals, pre- and probiotics, and more, it's a powerful, healthy habit that's also powerfully simple. It's 1 scoop mixed in water once a day and every day. I know that AG1 is giving my body high-quality nutrition. Every batch of AG1 goes through a rigorous testing process, so you know that it's safe. And AG1 ingredients are sourced for absorption, potency, and nutrition density. AG1 is a supplement that I trust to provide the support my body needs daily, and that's why I'm excited to welcome them as a new partner. Here is your chance to start every day this season with a gift to yourself. Try AG1 and get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3K2 and 5 free AG1 travel packs with your first purchase exclusively at drinkag1.com/provengrit. That's drinkag1.com/provengrit. Check it out.
Is very sedentary. 10,000
might be a lot.
Steps is a massive time commitment because that's about 3 miles.
Yeah, it's like 3-4 miles.
So it's about 45 minutes of purposeful walking.
And if you don't have if your job is sit at a desk all day, there's not that much time to move, and it is hard. So 10,000 might just be a lofty goal to, and it might just shut you down. You're like, I can't hit 10,000. I'm just going to sit here all day.
Yeah. I think like 6,000 is a good threshold.
I think so too.
It's a 20-minute walk.
Yep.
And that's just, it sounds funny, but do this for yourself. If you tell yourself you're going to go walk for 45 minutes and you'll see how often you talk yourself out of it. Tell yourself I'm going to go walk for 5 minutes, and then you'll see how often you go do a walk for 5 minutes, but then it turns into maybe 45 minutes or at least 20, 30, right? So I think it's just a lower barrier to entry.
Little bites.
And then you'll notice you just end up getting more and, have a more realistic, like we always talk about, baseline.
Yeah.
So some people get that easily, and they're like, well, I get 5,000-6,000 with my normal job. Cool. That's an advantage. Now, okay, aim for 10, right? again, that 20 to 30 minute walk a day, it's going to be about what did we just say? 40 minutes was about 5,000 steps. Yeah, so about, or 10,000 steps. Yeah, so 5,000. Yeah, so
Which is fine.
You know, extra purposeful 5,000 steps on top of your normal movement can be very helpful.
Yeah.
And also, I think what they're saying too is, which might even be more valuable, maybe not your total steps. Like some people will argue that, and again, do what you can. So that's why I hate kind of getting into these nuances. But if you had like a 30-minute walk and then you sat for the entire rest of the day,
And
that would be
didn't move.
and your total steps were that 5,000. That would almost be. It would be better to have 3,000 steps,
Of just constant little movement.
but you got up more often
Yeah.
versus just
I
being
agree.
like down. So again, yeah,
do what you can
do what you
to
can.
move.
And the overarching number 2 idea, I think, of this trend is that we just value the metric of inactivity.
Yeah.
Like, we want to ward off inactivity more so than we have to hit 10,000 steps.
Yeah.
I
I there's a couple cool metrics in here. This is a big study. It was 400,000 people. And this was actually this year that they did this. So this is very current. As little as 10 minutes of brisk walking per day was associated with longer telomeres, which are really just a sign of your biological age. So basically, it was enough of an impact that their biological age appeared 16 years younger, as opposed to people that didn't do a brisk 10-minute walk regularly, which is a very big difference. And you think like, oh, it's just a brisk 10-minute walk. Like that's an after lunch walk,
Yeah.
you know? And even that little bit of movement does make a big difference. So don't
Yep.
feel like you got to go for these 5+ mile walks or anything.
And they also, too, some of the notes that we didn't get into, they expanding on the first one, that 2023 will be the year of strength training for longevity. There was one that I think most people will be interested by. One of the study reviews they did came out with ultimately muscle strengthening activities can reduce one's mortality risk by 10 to 17%, which is massive. And
Yeah, that's huge.
Holly Baxter, an accredited dietitian and competitive bodybuilder, she was quoted as saying having a regular resistance training routine really helps reduce your risk and range of chronic diseases, which we've seen and is backed up. More specifically, having low muscle mass has been associated with an increased risk of cognitive decline, insulin resistance, high inflammatory markers, more susceptible to bone fractures, which we talked about. So again, obviously, well, that would mean avoiding low muscle mass
Yeah.
would be helpful.
And we
in
know like
what can-
all three of those things, like, well, high inflammatory markers, I mean, that's a kind of a risk factor for a lot of different things, like heart disease and cancer and things like that. Insulin resistance, metabolic diseases. So, having some muscle mass gives you a very good chance with that stuff too. So those are very important because those are the things I listed. Those are the biggest cause of mortality anyways.
Yep.
Heart disease, cancer. I don't know. I don't even know what the next one would be. Those are the two top ones. So I guess metabolic diseases would be.
Yeah, and it's
lumped in
interesting.
there.
So I guess they're trying to figure ways to track muscle mass, right? Because it is this, okay, man, it's this marker, right? But we're new to this.
So so what should we measure?
Yeah, because it's not, let's stand everyone on a bikini and stand on stage.
Yeah.
It's not a body. Doctors aren't going to judge people like bodybuilders, but so how can we judge it? So it's pretty interesting, some of the things they're talking about. One is obviously like DEXA scans.
Yep.
Can give you a proxy of how much muscle mass you have, but they're not foolproof because the lean body mass and muscle mass are not the same things. It tells you your lean body mass, a DEXA scan, but that's factoring in muscle,
That's your bones,
bone, basically everything that's not fat.
connective tissue, all of that stuff.
And another very common one, which a lot of people have used, is grip strength.
Yeah.
can give a sense of muscle mass, or they've been able to connect like a grip strength to longevity.
That's an old school one, but that's good.
Yeah, but they say the negatives to that are cognitive impairment can affect that.
Oh yeah, well yeah, if your nervous system's not
So
firing.
one thing it says they're experimenting with, which is pretty interesting,
This is dope.
is a way to measure muscle mass that packages a special type of creatine, an amino acid that's stored in muscle, into a small capsule that you swallow. The creatine then gets distributed into your muscles where it is converted to creatinine. How do you say that? Do you know?
It's either creatinine or creatinine.
Yeah, I think it's creatinine. I don't know.
I think I've always said creatinine, but
Creatinine.
one of us is right. I don't
which
know
is
who it is.
which is lost in urine. Then you take a urine sample a few days after taking the pill, and you'll have a more accurate picture of your muscle mass.
So basically, like they measure how much creatinine comes out.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, will give you a picture of how much muscle mass there really is.
Yeah, because what
That's really cool.
wasn't absorbed into your muscles, gets shuttled away. And so that's cool, right? Because you think of now and how, I mean, we don't bat an eye at, well, we do a blood test to figure out our blood cholesterol, and we do, so you can see where they're trying to find a way to where you would probably go to the doctor and be like, oh, let's check your muscle mass this time. And
That would be so cool.
And then they'd be like, hey, your muscle mass is low over the next year. So instead of just lose weight, it could be, hey, we really need you to
strength train.
build some muscle.
That's so sick. Like and creatine, it's something everybody can do for
Yeah.
the most part. Like there's probably a very, very small percentage of people that couldn't do this because like it's in beef. It's in a lot of different foods. Our body makes it, so it's not like some weird foreign thing that we created.
Yeah,
So I think that could be a really cool thing to do. I want to have it done now.
I know. And then they go into, this basically means for people there's a necessary rise in resistance training. Yeah. And think about it. We preach this not because we care about like, we're like,
Being right.
yeah, being right. Or it's like, no, this is where the stuff goes. So we do it ourselves. We believe it in ourselves. And then notice that there's very low access to strength training. That's part of the problem. Most people, unless you like played high school sports and got taught then or felt comfortable in a gym, you're not going to be 40, 50, 60 years old and show up at a Globo gym and just start resistance
and just know
training.
what to do.
Yeah, and feeling comfortable and confident and doing it.
Like there's a barrier to entry in this stuff.
Yeah, and that's why we preach at our gym. That's what we do. We try to hopefully have an environment with a coach you're comfortable and you can actually do this stuff consistently. And we still get pushback because strength training involves more rest and it's a different kind of focus than just cardio.
Then just going and going and going and going.
And a lot of people come and they're like, I thought it was going to be more tiring, right? And it's like, well, this is a strength training class, and so people have to slowly come to grips with
it's got to be a
differences.
mindset shift.
Yeah.
Has to be.
But that's what we're passionate about, is creating this lower barrier to entry to where people can actually get this done consistently, because it's where everything's pointing is what's the most important way to maximize your time when it comes to exercise.
Yeah.
And people can keep ignoring it for as long as they want, but
We're going to be over here thriving.
and yeah, they talk about how the evidence shift, which we talked about, knowing some people in the industry with just the equipment and gyms and how they're changing things. The interest they talk about among women is slowly growing. And the myth, an important thing is for the myth to fall that strength training is only for bulking or bodybuilding.
Yeah.
Like that has to crumble. Oof. It's got me excited.
Crumble it.
Like when you see, and we always say this in our own conversations.
I know.
We'll be talking and we'll see things that we're talking about and we'll struggle, as a business with the pushback.
Yeah.
But we're like, man, these things are coming to our hearts and to our souls,
We always know it.
and how we want to sleep at night.
And we've done a good job at, holding strong to that and not changing just because, there's different trends going on.
Yep.
So, yeah, I feel good about our values and what we push for.
Yeah. And like, again, what we said earlier in the article, Holly Baxter states how, strength training can only be a good thing for our short and long-term health if you're looking for the best type of activity to help improve your metabolism, improve your longevity, and improve your bone mineral density. Resistance training.
That's it, Daddy.
Boom. So, get after it. All right. So, boom, resistance training, which obviously we love. We double down on. movement, not just I got to hit steps.
General movement. Just alter your day. Get up and do something.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Take the stairs. Things like that do add up a lot.
Number 3 trend:
This is a fun one.
hot and cold therapy will be more accessible.
Yeah, buddy. So we're talking things like saunas, cold plunges, to be the two, we'll call them extremes, but they have things like sauna blankets, things that you can do at home, these home saunas that are a little bit cheaper. Cold plunges are still kind of expensive, but I'm sure they'll.
You can do a cold shower.
Yeah, cold shower. You can fill your own bathtub up with ice. Let's see how.
And you can also see this in that there's more of these, like, what do you call them? I guess like studios or businesses essentially that offer like the saunas and cold plunges as part of the business. I know a couple gym owners, buddies, that have it in their gyms now to offer up those services, right? Because there's still debate. The science is pretty good. You can find things both ways. Like, is it helpful? Is it not?
What it seems to be, I think people have their mindset on, you should do this to help you recover faster. And that doesn't actually seem to be what the hot and cold really do. Like, they don't really help a ton with recovery. There's research that doing it after strength training actually doesn't help your muscle. Like, it actually hurts your muscle growth, the cold stuff. But it can be good for managing stress, because they are stressors. The hot and the cold are both. So, when you have those little tiny, bits of controlled stress, like working out, like you're bringing some stress or some whatever mechanical tension to your body, and your body adapts to it. It gets better. This is the same thing. You bring a little bit of hot or cold, and your body will adjust for it.
Yeah, it's basically a healthy stress response.
Yeah, so that's what you're training with this. And then, there's evidence that, the cold is great for, things like anxiety and controlling your nervous system. And then the heat, there's a heat shock protein in your body that is very beneficial to your brain health and your body health and just the health of your cells overall.
Yeah, the hope with them is that by having these very small, healthy doses of stress, it helps your body repair cellular damage. Yeah. Eliminate toxins, reduce inflammation, boost immunity, and increase longevity. Yeah. Yeah. And what it really comes down to is, you're going to have like your super science people that are like, no, it doesn't. Or the benefits aren't enough to hype it up. But there's also, but you know what? It probably doesn't hurt. No. And if someone enjoys it and is taking time out to do it, it's a form of it's self-care. It's prioritizing yourself. Yeah. So I think there's definitely benefits in that. And, and then also in an anecdotal, just kind of like woo-woo way, you could look at it and be like, we are creatures, our environments, and we see this with food, exercise and nutrition. We naturally gravitate to comfort, like we've talked about, right? Comfort foods that are tastier, more comforting. Not doing anything. It's more comfortable than sitting on the couch. So it makes also temperature-controlled rooms. Yeah, because we haven't had temperature control for that long in the grand scheme of things. Yeah. And we used to be exposed to more extreme temperatures, the hot, the cold, and our bodies adapted to it. And the reality is we now know, not exercising is bad. Yep. Eating like crap is bad. Yeah. So it could be never exposing yourself to more extreme temperatures, hot and cold, it could possibly be bad. Yeah.
So I think there is some merit to it. And on a personal level, feel great doing both. Like the heat, I love sitting in the sauna. Cold plunges. And again, this is an N=1 anecdotal level, like helps with my anxiety, like a ton. So, I think there are benefits. Is it in my head? I don't know. If it is, it still helps, so I don't really care. But, really no negative side effects from it, in my opinion.
Yeah. And, and obviously this is extreme, but this is what happens. People do fall down these rabbit holes and go way too hard.
More.
And this is what people would argue. There's people who have literally died. Like one I know recently was a mother. She was like a mother of 3, and she pushed the cold therapy
I remember that.
too hard and freaking died from the exposure.
Yeah.
Of too cold, too long.
Yep. And it's like any of these things,
and that comes down to like what do we always talk about?
moderation, man.
Yeah, like come on now.
Just like, and anytime you're trying something new, so if anybody's going to hear this and try like the sauna or something cold, just dip your toe in.
Yeah, you're not
Go sit in a sauna for 5 minutes.
Yeah, don't be extreme. Don't be like, well, if a little cold exposure is good, I'm gonna PR.
Yeah, and that's not the way it works, right? Think about a more is better. Like more is worse, right? If you're stuck in the cold and there's no heat, no nothing, at a certain point, like you're gonna die, right? So more is not better. The right dose is better,
Yeah.
and starting very low and then slowly increasing is the way to do it. If you're trying to see where you're at, if you just jump into, say, you've never done cold exposure and you jump into water that's 30 degrees, you're gonna have a very bad time. That shock could make you pass out. And then you drown in this cold tub because you were not prepared for the activity. Whereas you could just turn your shower a little bit cold, see how that feels, see how you react, and then just do a little more as time goes on. So, yeah, getting into the more is better mentality with these things that are potentially dangerous, even the heat. Like you get heat stroke from being in a sauna for too long, which is very dangerous.
Yeah.
So just be careful with the extremes on this type of stuff, right?
Yep.
It's all about a small stressor.
Yeah.
Just a small one. So
Yeah, same thing. I mean, and you can develop the same kind of issues and mental patterns as, say, like someone who becomes anorexic, and they literally start to get dopamine hits because they attach benefits to some of the negative things of pushing not eating to the extreme, right?
Yeah.
Same thing. People can be like, yeah, with the cold exposure, and I got to get more, and then they start getting these dopamine reward circuits for pushing that stuff, and then you freeze to death.
for staying in there longer.
Again, for benefits that are like may be there, right?
Yeah.
And definitely, again, moderation. So, and that's why, maybe some of the businesses in controlled environments are better. If you go to a
Absolutely.
cryo place, you have a professional setting it up,
Like there's a technician handling everything.
telling you how much time to do. Same thing with sauna, right? It's going to turn on, it's going to shut off at at these places versus leaving yourself to your own devices. So yeah, there you go. The 3 top fitness trends for 2023, and you see they're getting better. The trends are getting better because we are able to mass
We got a lot of data.
data and information and get more exposure, and then kind of hopefully seek out the truth. And yeah, we've actually feel pretty good about these. We're headed in a better direction versus people just thinking like, I just need, instead of doing hopscotch, I need to, like a lot of times the fitness trends are like new little fatty things, right? Like I now do wear a different suit and hop around on a stripper pole, but now this year I do it on a trampoline, and then next year I do it hanging from a sheet.
Yeah, you're literally like jumping around the one thing you should be doing, which is strength training.
Yeah, but now here we are, strength training, movement.
And there's a myriad of ways that you can do resistance training. There's plenty of stuff to fit the person. So, you don't got to power lift. There's not one single modality. There are many ways to skin this cat.
You have to eliminate out of your mind when you hear strength training, resistance training, thoughts of bodybuilders and power lifters and things
you
like
are
that.
not going to end up looking like the Hulk unless that is your goal and you train for, I don't know, 10, 15, 20 years to get that way.
And honestly, it still wouldn't matter because as more and more people are getting exposed, most of the people who do look like that were on illegal.
Yeah, they're on PEDs.
Yeah, performance-enhancing drugs, anabolic steroids. So unless you're accidentally taking steroids and lifting weights a ton.
Those vitamins you give grandma.
Yeah. So let us know.
Yeah.
What trends have you seen? What are you excited about?
What are you hopeful for? What do you hope anything changes? Let us know. I'm curious. This is just 2 guys that have been in the industry for a while, so we get in our little bubble sometimes, but we're usually pretty right about where things are going too. So, yeah, holla.
Thanks for listening.
All right, we'll catch you next time. As always, thanks for listening, guys. If you want to learn more, check us out at coastalfitnessva.com or garydeagle.com. We'll see you next time.